Mike Johnson.
Thanks, sir. Front row, go ahead.
The president campaigned on this idea of transparency. In the name of transparency, he released the MLK files. In the name of transparency, he released the JFK files. Why not, in the name of transparency, call on the president to just release the full Epstein files? He doesn't even need Congress to have this vote.
Well, the president's made very clear his position over the last few days. His truth post over the weekend and what he said. I mean, he had a press gaggle yesterday. He said the same thing. He says release all the files. He's been saying that. What he was counting on and what we were insistent upon is using the processes of Congress, as I explained here in great detail this morning, to do it in the right way so that it's not haphazard. And Congress has a role to do that. The Oversight Committee is the appropriate place for this to be done, and that is what is happening right now, as you've all seen. And so we preferred that route. And by the way, as I mentioned, that route is more comprehensive than anything the discharge petition would accomplish anyway, because it didn't even mention the Epstein files and some of these other things, I mean, the estate files. So we want the process to play out. We want it to be done in the right way. We want to do it in a way that doesn't jeopardize our legal system and doesn't inflict more harm on victims. And the president is resolute on that, as we have been, and that's why we opposed this gambit from the beginning. Yes?
Do you acknowledge that by voting for this discharge petition today, that is a reversal for you, that you could have put this on the floor months ago, may not have even needed to have a discharge petition if you had supported it months ago?
No, it's not a reversal, as I just explained. We had big problems with the discharge from the moment it was filed. We talked with the authors. There was lots of people that went and pleaded with them to fix it so that everybody could be together, because we've been for maximum transparency. But again, there's a reason you have rules and processes here to ensure that this is not done haphazardly. And I was not satisfied with that. But I've been for maximum transparency from the very beginning. We wanted the process to play out. So, yes.
I understand where you're coming from with your concerns with the discharge petition. I also understand your want for transparency. In this case, you've been very clear on both those fronts for weeks. So is the reason why you're now deciding to vote for this resolution because President Trump directly said Republicans should vote for this? Because this has been your position all along, and you've made it clear you weren't in support of this resolution.
If and when the discharge reached the 218th signature, it will be forced. And the forcing mechanism here prevents the very deliberate, professional, careful manner in which Congress is supposed to do this. I lament that. That's why I'd been opposed to it all along. But having now forced the vote, none of us want to go on record and in any way be accused of not being for maximum transparency. So the only intellectually consistent position to have right now, the only way to ensure that both those things are true at the same time, is to allow for everyone to vote their conscience and to go on record to say, of course, we're for maximum transparency. Now, I'll tell you, there's a handful of Republicans, Judiciary Committee members, and a few others who are really struggling, as I have been, about whether or not they could even vote yes today because of this, because we don't have an absolute guarantee that this will be fixed in the Senate. I have a high degree of confidence in that, and that's why that's why I'll be voting yes today. And I've talked about that at great detail. We had a hour and a half long conference call on Sunday with Judiciary Committee members who are really, really concerned. I mean, they're all for maximum transparency, but they're really, really concerned about protecting the victims, and I am as well, and that's why we have gone through this whole long process. Last one, Olivia, go ahead.
On that, James Blair today at a Bloomberg event said that they're looking at ways to send millions of Americans checks from tariff dividend revenue, but without Congress being involved. Do you have concerns about them not running that sort of process through Congress?
Well, I'm not sure that's possible, and James Blair and I will have some intense fellowship about that, I'm sure. He's a good friend. We collaborate on strategy all the time, but this is an idea, I think, that makes sense. The president was talking about it as recently as yesterday. I think what I heard him say, and I haven't talked to him about it because he and I have both been so busy the last 24 hours, I'll see him in a little while, but I think what I heard him say yesterday is he's thinking about something maybe midway into next year, when the tariff revenue is realized and we can figure out what that looks like. But I think it would require an act of Congress, so we'll have to see how. I'm not sure what's being proposed, so it's sort of a hypothetical. Last one, yeah.
Getting specifically to the substance here, reading through the bill, though, I guess I'm confused because the bill specifically says the Attorney General may withhold or redact portions related to child sexual abuse materials as defined in the law, anything jeopardizing federal investigations. It specifically says they can withhold anything containing personal identifiable information of victims, personal medical files, we need the survivor's
They're not. Let me give you an example. And we could be up here for a long time. I litigated with you because I brought all this stuff. All right. Okay. So the first one you mentioned. Okay. So here's the HRS 581. This is the discharge. Okay. It says on page 5, redact anything that depicts or quote depicts or contains child sexual abuse material, CSAM, as defined under 18 USC 2256. Okay. All right. So you go to 18 USC 2256. Definitions of the chapter. Nowhere in this section, okay, go look it up, all right, does it contain the definition of child sexual abuse material. So I used to litigate federal cases, and I would challenge statutes in court, okay? The language is very important and very precise. If it's not listed here and this were to become law, child sexual abuse materials are not included. They're not included for redaction, which means the Attorney General and someone there, if they interpret the discharge in the statute that it passes directly, and literally, as they're supposed to do, they're required to do under the law, then you're going to have things that would qualify under child sexual abuse materials. You have child pornography included in the distribution of this stuff. We can't go for that. And why did they? No, it's not up to the Attorney General because the way it's listed in the document. No, it's not. It's not because it doesn't reference the right code section. So we could go through every one of these things. We have had a small army of lawyers going through it, because I want to make sure that all of my concerns, because I read it the first time initially and I thought, whoa, this is way out of bounds. We have in fact, we'll put on the speaker.gov, I'll put it on the website here when we leave. You'll see the summary of the legal analysis, and it goes through point by point, and it points to the specific sections in the discharge. Guys, we're not making this up, and you can take it to your counsel at your outlet's offices and have them review it, and they'll tell you the same thing. This should have been done in a much more careful manner, and it was not. And I'm going to point out again, when the authors were asked to fix it, they said they weren't interested in doing that. Okay, why? Because this is a raw and obvious political exercise. Again, I'm just going to leave you with this question. You should go ask them all. If you were so concerned about the Epstein files and protecting the victims, why didn't you do a darn thing about it for the 4 years of the Biden administration? All this stuff was sitting in a warehouse, and nobody said a word about it. They didn't care. Now they're doing it. We all know why, because they're trying to attack President Trump. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.